Sir, shall we begin?
Yeah, please.
A warm good evening to all. IEEE Kerala Section cordially invite you to the 35th talk of the Inter-Society weekly webinar series on the topic A Novel Concept E-Waste Management School for the Homeless. Organized by IEEE Kerala Section, Computer Society of India Trivandrum Chapter, Internet Society Trivandrum Chapter, Vakamaulavi Foundation Trust Trivandrum, and IEEE Engineering in Medicine and Biology Kerala Chapter. The session will be handled by Professor Sudha Balagopal, PhD, Dean Academics with the Academy of Science and Technology, Thrissur. Well, it's the time to begin our session. In order to welcome you all, I invite Nikita Sajid for welcome speech. Welcome you, ma'am.
Good evening and a warm welcome to the 35th talk of Inter-Society weekly webinar series on the topic E-Waste Management School for the Homeless and an Ideal Concept. I find immense pleasure in welcoming Professor Sudha Balagopal, PhD, Dean Academics, Vidya Academy of Science and Technology, Thrissur, for sharing her valuable knowledge. And I would also like to welcome Professor V.K. Damodaran and Mr. Ashok Kumar, Secretary of IE. I would also like to welcome our MC for the day, Ms. Aishwarya Ravi, and I wholeheartedly welcome all the office bearers and members of the sponsoring organization and the participants for today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, I know that before our session, we should get a clear introduction about our speaker. In order to introduce the speaker to us, I welcome Professor V.K. Damodaran. Welcome you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Aishwarya. And my good evening to all. This is a very special and important talk today on a very topically and currently important topic of e-waste management being done by Professor Sudha Balagopal. Before introducing her on her titles and experience and education, etc., I would personally congratulate her for taking a topic like this, because what attracted me more is actually e-waste management school for the homeless, and it is developed as an ideal concept. In fact, waste management has been a problem, and in that problem, either being solved by technology or by social organizations, there is a problem on how you treat the urchins who generally try to sort out and pick waste for making a meager income for their life. And to my observation, what I could see is that it was only the president of Indonesia who several years before came forward, and while addressing the nation, he mentioned that the people, police, as well as civic authorities generally drive away these urchins who try to collect waste. That is actually general waste. No question of segregating into e-waste or something like that. But the waste management issue is an issue of larger dimensions. So he just mentioned that they are doing a service to the society, and you should actually try to respect them, give them all facilities to be safe in doing this job, and you cannot actually completely take away their services from this thing. So from that onwards, I was always looking at how we look at those who process or those who try to manage the waste. And here, with a new concept of a management school for the homeless, I think Sudha Balagopal will be introducing a new approach to e-waste problem management, which is actually a burning issue now, how to safely handle the mounting volumes of e-waste in the country. It runs to several thousands of tons. So that apart about which Sudha will be speaking, let me introduce Sudha Balgopal as an engineer and an academic extraordinary who had very meritorious academic records as well as meritorious teaching experience. But before that, I would say that, in fact, she started her career after graduating from the then REC Calicut, the current NIT Calicut. Then, of course, the branch was only electrical engineering. And thereafter, I think she had a Homi Baba award with which she did some work on the two earlier reactors of BARC. And after a few years of work there, she actually left for Kuwait, and she was actually working with several industries and in some engineering projects there as a project engineer. After coming back from Kuwait, she ended teaching, I think, first in Government College of Engineering, Trichur, then MES College of Engineering, Kuttipuram, and thereafter she also took up some consultancy jobs. And so her experience has been very wide, not strictly within the teaching area. Then she joined Vidya Academy of Science and Technology near Trichur, and she was HOD there, she was principal there, and now Dean Academic. And while she was HOD as well as principal, I had opportunity to interact with her several times on several activities connected with IEEE as well as academic things. And one of the important thing I noticed that she actually organized. Of course, it was a teamwork, but basically the whole planning and the management, the main share was actually taken by her for organizing, I think, biannual 4 international conferences under the title EPSICON, and in which I also had some opportunities to interact with the organizing team. And we have also utilized her presence as well as the college facilities for a number of IEEE training programs, lectures, seminars, and such things. So she's very much associated with professional activities of the professional societies, especially in this area. And this e-waste is a burning issue. It is really good that she has actually thought about that one and brought in a concept about which we will actually listen to carefully. And I would even suggest all participants to come up with suggestions and interactions after the lecture. I should also mention one thing that Sudha is actually very strong, not only in electrical engineering and allied subjects, but she is also very good in mathematics. And one good thing in her teaching exercise, which I have noted, is that she developed rather neat around 30 to 40 laws and theorems that we study in electrical engineering into a kind of a string, starting from your Ohm's law, going up to the most complicated and intricate one, and taking students from one step to other seamlessly and very easily by having a good philosophical treatise on each one of this one and how they are actually connected. This, of course, I found her as one of main contributions that she did to the teaching profession here. Anyhow, I don't want to actually lengthen the lecture. I also had a relation with her as well as her family, because her elder sister was also a student in Calicut REC, where I worked as a teacher for a number of years. And apart from that, while there, I was an NCC officer in the Electrical Mechanical Engineer Corps, and my commanding officer, when I was in charge of the college NCC, was her father, Colonel Warrior. So I know them for a number of years on their academic work as well as their sincere and dedicated work to the profession. So let me call upon Professor Sudha Balgopal to present her new concept before us and elaborate on its various aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Aishwarya. So it's a wonderful evening when we start with the lovely smile of the presenter, and again the wonderful introduction as also welcome by. I'm still trying to start. Yeah, share screen. The wonderful introduction as also welcome by the speakers, especially my own teacher, that is Professor V.K. Damodaran sir. So, of course, I consider it as a very big honor to be asked to attend or present a particular concept here. And I thank all the constituent organizers for this privilege. I have attended the previous sessions, many of them delivered by really distinguished, highly placed people. So I understand the depth of the affection that my teacher, that is Professor V.K. Damodaran sir, has for me, along with his friends, to have invited a person like me for such a session. At the same time, I'm thankful for getting an opportunity to throw some light on the investigation done by my former student. I suppose you can see the slide. Can you see the slide, Aishwarya? Aishwarya, Nikita, anybody? Can you see this?
Yeah, we can see the slide. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So the investigation was done by my former student Gokul, who is also attending today, and I have added a few ideas to it to derive this ideal concept. Okay, so let's start from a heartwarming picture of a homeless child being readied for school here. Adjacent to which is the prestigious management school at Kanpur, which is home to the largest number of homeless people as per the census of 2011 of India. But of course, such institutions and such institutions, even ours, is more or less deserted these days because online schooling is happening. But I wonder whether students of the children of this kind, that is the homeless children, will have an opportunity during these days to go for the schooling, whether they will have an opportunity for going on for the online schooling. I am afraid that it is possible that in the long run, they may land up in the killing fields of the electronic waste. So today we present an e-waste management school for the homeless through the following topics. And so this is the slide where I would like to show you a very pleasant sight which used to be there earlier of the animated school children waiting by the roadsides for their school buses. They were beautifully shod in shoes and socks, clad in a nicely ironed uniform, with, of course, sometimes with coat and ties, etc. Their hair used to be brushed and combed appropriately. The young parents were worried about the appropriate water bottles or the kind of food that can be tiffined such that they don't throw it away. There was talk for a long time about the heaviness of the school bags that they carried. And we miss this. But we don't miss the children on the right-hand side. Of course, they are invisible people. In fact, according to a study made by Kerala government using the Kudumbasri, it was said that these children are not, these children are, these children are not visible. In fact, they are not available until up to 10:30 p.m. and then they disappear by about 5:30 a.m. So of course, no, we don't miss them because they are dirty, they smell, okay, and of course they are not schooled to talk nicely. However, the schooling of the children on the left-hand side is not yet disturbed. They have all the electronic gadgets. In fact, one of my colleagues sent me a picture of his son being schooled for the first time while he was sitting before a laptop with his mother beside him. If something goes wrong with this laptop, they have other, in fact, we all have other laptops or the personal computers or PCs. We also have the most recently advertised mobile phones or cell phones, etc. And when something, when they get damaged, we either try to repair them or we junk them. And when someone comes to our gates asking for all the junks, we dispose of the laptops and PCs which are spoiled, but we keep the mobile phones because there is some privacy entered within them. Of course, nobody knows. Do you know where all these junks, electronic junks, are going? Who knows? Who cares? Out of sight, out of mind. Here they are, all the electronic junks that we have thrown away, abandoned, dumped. The waste of our society, all of them are here. But of course, the children are working on them, collecting, breaking them into pieces, even using stones, separating the components, and inhaling all the toxic gases while hanging on to the sari of their amma. But there is a scope for hope because there is some kind of team spirit which is going on here. They know to work amongst all the dirt. In fact, they are kings of all the dirt that they survey. They can share space with all other scavengers. And there are some NGOs who are working with them. Like, for instance, Chintan has equipped all these people working in the informal sectors of e-waste recycling with masks. This is not Corona times, okay? These are the women who are working in the informal sectors of recycling e-waste. And so, of course, protected. And this is the protection that we want to have for the children in the e-waste management school. Completely protected, cared for, such that innovative ideas, creative ideas come. Like, for instance, this piano. Here we have a junked keyboard attached to other electronic components which are retrievable, making piano music. We also have some exhibits in the e-waste domain. Of course, safety with priority given to safety, because e-waste exposure to these children affect their physiology to the deepest level, even up to the cellular level. The homelessness affects their psychology. In fact, it is said that the behavioral pattern changes and they can cause self-harm. The society takes care of the rest. They clean up these people off from the face of the earth. This is a grave issue. There are around 11 million children, street children, who earn their living off the streets, according to Census 2011. As per more recent reports of ASOCAM, as also e-kinetics in 2016, about 4.5 to 5 lakh children between the age of 10 to 14 are engaged in the informal sectors in e-waste recycling. In fact, this report was repeated in 2019 by a white paper by ILO, International Labour Organization. So we have to have a strategy as to how to approach this issue. The public approach to street children is seen to have four different models. In the correctional model, the agencies are the government and their enforcers, that is the police. They view the street children as public nuisances and as causing risk to the public. So the effort is to protect the people from the crimes committed by these street children. Regarding the next approach, where the NGOs as also the church organizations join the government, we have the rehabilitative approach. Herein, they view the students, they view the street children as damaged people. Okay, and so whatever can be retrieved into the mainstream, they try for that. The third approach is where the volunteering street teachers also join. Okay, and that approach is what is called as the outreach model, wherein they view these children as oppressed individuals. I like that, individuals. And of course, they use education as also training to bring about, to reduce this oppression that is on them. The fourth approach is actually done, is taken up by coalitions. This is street coalitions, as also people who lobby governments. This is called as a preventive model, wherein the street children are viewed as victims of negative social and economic forces. Here, they mount campaigns against the government for supporting street living, where as also cooking on the streets, cleaning on the streets, sleeping on the streets, including playing on the streets. I have wondered who has taught them this game. And the surprising fact, of course, and which is very encouraging, is the absolute relaxedness of this boy watching the game, and the utter focus with which they are playing, and that lack of consciousness as she stares at us through the camera eye. Street children can learn. This is the theme which can be seen in this picture, wherein Professor Sugata Mitra was instrumental in going through the hole in the wall experiment. He put in certain computers in certain holes dug into walls, and the street children started learning on their own. They started learning on their own. This is encouraging. This is what we feel that some kind of directional education may work out. We had some experiences also, mostly Gokul. He talked to me about a temple side incident that he was witnessing, where under the cover of darkness, we have two types of people visiting the premises of the temple. One is, of course, our homeless children looking out for some breakfast based on the coconuts crashed at the doorsteps of the temples. There was another set, of course, who were morning walkers with small bags to dispose wherever people were not, okay, of course, under the cover of darkness. So the two boys had got onto a small box, which they took to an isolated corner, and they were separating each component, okay, so diligently, so carefully, and with so much of talent that he told that we thought that actually this was what set the ball rolling of a e-waste management school, wherein some kind of directional learning is possible. Another experience that he shared with me was even later. He talked about the plantation near to which he was working. There were some children there who were mentally damaged, possibly because whatever they sprinkled on the plantations. So these children, some of them had been abandoned by their fathers, who found it difficult to economically support them. And the mothers were, of course, taken up by the looking after of these needy children. So these children were wandering around, and into that picture comes the third party, that is our lorry crew. So the lorries are there, and they have some small problems, and they teach these students, these children to repair them. Okay, and sometimes some very exceptional talents were spotted. In fact, they could be the only persons who could be repairing certain problems in these lorries that they were bringing. And in return, these children take the take some of them so inclined to their houses such that their mothers can make some, the abandoned mothers can make some money for the food. This is the start of criminalization. This has to be prevented, no doubt about it. And third is my own visit. When I went to a remand house, I was seated with the superintendent there. And of course, he was busy with his work, but my eyes got glued onto a large television screen there, which was connected to all the closed circuit cameras. Okay, and I was watching a room there wherein a gang had gathered around a small boy in the center. He was on the ground, and one part was one team was advancing and he was trying to fend them off, whereas the another team was advancing on him. And this was creating a lot of disturbance in my mind, and perhaps no one else's mind. Nobody is watching the TV screen. But then, thankfully, before something damaging happened, the bell rang and they dispersed. It could be a game, but then, of course, they are nobody's children. And so the schools that they visit, that they go to, will not be acceptable to them. In fact, some of the children there I noticed were convicts' children. So, crept in our decision to include what is called as rehabilitation in the as the fifth component in the 3R plus 2R plus 1E, which is 1E is education. The fifth component is rehabilitation, also into this concept of an e-waste management school. The other 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse, recycle. Of course, scientific methods need to be incorporated in the school such that recycling happens scientifically, such that reusable components can be separated from the real waste, and it can be reduced in the most energy-friendly manner, as also, of course, safely. The fourth component of responsibility is actually attached to the extended product responsibility of manufacturers. So this particular law cannot be actually implemented because there are so many consumers, and post-consumption, the devices are dumped like this. So our idea is to see to it that these, after consumption, these electronic wastes are brought to the school such that separation happens there of the reusable components and the throwaway components, and the manufacturers become responsible for disposing the non-reusable waste. And in this, and as a result of this attempt, we hope that we will have only producers and consumers and reproducers and no scavengers. So in the e-waste, so consolidating all that was spoken about so far, I believe we all agree that e-waste is, in fact, even Damodharan was talking about how much of a menace this e-waste is. It's a ecological, technological, as also a social malady, and it keeps growing. At the same time, we have regional needs, no doubt about it. Okay, we have regional needs, and I believe the needs are going to be more specific. In fact, we have given so many laptops and mobile phones to the needy children for going through the and even televisions for the local students to go through to undergo the online schooling. If the pandemic lasts longer, we don't know if the equipment will be lasting so long. Perhaps they will get damaged and they may not have the money to repair them. So again, there's going to be a large regional need for disposing of this fresh electronic waste. Of course, there are local talents, as I mentioned earlier. All the talents that were spotted are local. And of course, we can have what is called as indigenous technology for retrieving the most usable components from the e-waste. So these three are supposed to be combined in our concept of e-waste management school. The objective is, of course, to convert the natural curiosity of growing children to experience the world, to explore the world, into a capability, a perseverance, some kind of productivity, and most importantly, some amount of self-preservation. Of course, otherwise, what is going to happen is that all this marginalization will become rampant criminalization. No doubt about it. Okay, that's happening. In fact, that is what is happening right now in the streets. Also, there will be a huge expansion of the killing e-waste expanses that are already there. Of course, we also feel that the e-waste management school may put a break into the perpetration of the begging culture, the cessation of the natural desire for education, and then thereafter the stopping of work and trying to earn other money, not a honest money. So we have included in our e-waste management a trilateral meeting of the need of all the stakeholders. Okay, so all the stakeholders, including the producers or the manufacturers, the talent, the unspotted talent that is still there in the streets, okay, waiting to be discovered, and the technology that will surely come as a result of the talent meeting the technology and going and handling the need. So this is our plan for the e-waste management school. First, we go to the armchair philosophizing part of it, that is the course and curriculum, where, yeah, so this is the course and curriculum planned as starting from the elementary level, where the 3 R's, the reading, writing, and arithmetic, not to any deep level, just to have some verbal ability to be capable of at least writing a letter or report writing. Okay, to make some measurements and to have some business, okay, to conduct some business with the products that they make. Of course, civic sense is important. They should know the laws, they should know their rights, they should also, not the responsibility is ours. They should know the extent to which their freedom extends. And of course, health and hygiene is very, very important, especially since there is danger regarding the exposure to e-waste. Ethics and values is something that the society can give them. So that's also a component of the learning modules. And to supplement it, we have designed some activity modules. Okay, everything which should make it both entertaining as also learning, a good learning experience with some learning objectives which are put in here. So I'm not going deeply into it because I have too many slides, okay? And then regarding the primary level of education, we feel that we should now move into e-waste as such, where the generation, the classification, all the separation techniques, the recycling and recovery techniques, as also the life cycle calculations, refurbishing, landfills and leachate, all these are very important topics, of course, learned via activity modules. That is via through the laboratories, through the projects, through other activities when they interact with the outside world. So moving on to the last of the segment, that is the secondary level. We are not very sure where sustainable development should also be added here. But of course, that's where the suggestions are important. But we feel that two different types of projects. One is, of course, innovative, and others from the listed ones, wherein they do they learn whatever they want to. So this is the content of the course and curriculum that we have planned. Of course, it is not concrete, because we have a different suggestion for the teaching learning pattern. Okay? So of course, the self and need based, as I said earlier, need based, only what is needed. No need for trigonometry or higher mathematics, etc. Only what is required for the e-waste management school. Of course, relevant and dynamic curriculum, which should change from year to year depending upon the requirements of that particular time span. Project orientation is important in such courses. Of course, such a school will have special objectives, unique outcomes, and special teaching learning processes. We are coming to that soon enough. And of course, a 3-tier learning is recommended here: elementary, primary, and secondary level. Okay, so based on the child development psychology that I have been through, I have changed the age span that can be associated with the elementary, primary, and secondary. Earlier it was 5 to 10. Then I saw in some recent papers that this is the best age span which can be used for such a school. Of course, as I said earlier, there are special objectives like for having miniature modules to be delivered as course delivery. And in the miniature modules, what is intended is that not everyone needs to learn everything. Okay, whatever is suitable, those groups of students can learn in some of the modules, which will of course be assessed. Of course, there must be space for quick learners. So an accelerated course pattern is also possible in this miniature modules. So another objective is to have activities such that some interaction with the outside world is possible, because these children or these students now will be developing things for the outside world. So what is required by the outside world, they need to come in contact with that. The courses are seen to it that the design of the courses are always broad-based, such that it addresses an age group rather than the first standard, second standard, third standard, which we are familiar with. The pedagogy is again must be suitable to an e-waste management school for destitute children, especially because some of the students have never been educated, and many of them have run away from schools or oppressive home fronts. So definitely we have to have a similar kind of pedagogy which will be attractive to these children. The target is, of course, to have citizenry, even at least at the local level, to be restored to these children. Of course, the special outcomes at every stage, we have designed it this way that at the elementary level, we focus on health, hygiene, and happiness. At the primary level, all the different schools of thought, okay, these are from Freud to Piaget, and all these are contributions from different psychiatrists who talk about major child development theories. So based on these theories, we feel that character building up, conduct, and cognition skills should be promoted during this phase. Finally, coming to the last phase, wherein the students make certain things or develop certain things and market them or sell them, then self-confidence should be developed. That they should rely on themselves to the maximum extent possible, should be a lesson that should be learned and should be seen as an outcome. The most important outcome is no doubt self-preservation, which gets lost in the streets. So the teaching learning process also has its own set of objectives and outcomes. The spectrum of pedagogy here recommended is student-centric, which has discussion, debate, songs, games, stories, role play, moving making, and everything and anything which will make learning attractive. Second is, of course, we go for the normal situation of 5-day week. Okay, classes in the forenoon and activities in the afternoon, with Saturdays left for assessment in the forenoon and afternoon for entertainment. This is so designed, okay, or suggested such that the district education institutions in every district can be a part and parcel of the course and curriculum development and delivery. So, of course, some people have already offered to help. The educated, retired people, etc., want to help, as was clear in some of the earlier occasions when I could speak about these things. The objective of the teaching learning process is to see that the responsibility that the entire district holds collective responsibility to the outcast, to those people whom we have cast out till yesterday. Of course, in the teaching learning process, 3 outcomes are expected. One is, of course, that, okay, of course, this is from my own experience of having been a part of the teaching learning experience in several engineering colleges for several years. I have noticed that that students like this. Okay, so there will come what is called as a healthy competition to handle innovative kind of classes, okay, from between the different institutions in the same district. Earlier, Calicut University had this compulsory social service part, which perhaps we can restore via this e-waste management school when students become a part of the resource persons. Of course, the most important outcome is that that both parties of the teaching learning process, the students as also the facilitators, get exposure to the other kind of life. Of course, the main target of the process is such that, okay, that a student develop some toys, some circuits of use, sell them and run a business, and ultimately support the school in all its running. So again, a few more thoughts, because earlier I thought that we should have the engineering college and polytechnic students as the facilitators, because they are no doubt the best facilitators, because they, as I said earlier, I have seen that they can identify with these unfortunate children much better. In fact, they are kinder. Okay, I've noticed that. Okay? In fact, they like to help. Due to that, I have seen this in some of the projects that we have started in our college. Then again, of course, they also get the engineering and also polytechnic students also get some takeaway projects. They can, based on the problems that that the students of the e-waste management school see in their laboratories, etc. Of course, it can also lead to partnership entrepreneurship, perhaps on a later day, because the strength can arrive between the relation, a strong relationship can arise between the teacher and the student in this situation. Of course, the colleges have sufficient strengths, experience, and also the goodwill. Okay, of course, that there's also a lot of goodwill. Okay, so such that they can own the teaching learning process. They can evaluate their own students who are going to the e-waste management for schooling the unfortunate students. And they have, in fact, they have sufficient teaching strength and lab staff strength to assess the goals and patterns of this education. So the assessment is also different in the, it's also planned to be different in e-waste management school. Nothing has happened so far. We are still experimenting. So what we want to suggest is that the evaluation can be weekly, but the idea is to go for the age based, okay, not the group based, but based on the age of growth that can be utilized to assess the students. And both the group as also individual activity can be assessed. And most importantly, there should be a clustering of talents, because it is ultimately a talent spotting exercise that we are talking about. Regarding the infrastructure planned, okay, this was what was planned much earlier on 3 acres, wherein we have the 3 different classes for elementary, primary, and secondary education. All the different required labs, including biotechnology, because fungi are supposed to give rise to some kind of recycling. Of course, the community hall, the library, the computer, the playgrounds, the garden, etc. And for community living, which can house, all these classrooms can house about 30 students each. And then again, for the community living, about 50 guardians of the 50 families are planned here. With a dormitory living for the children. Of course, we have not planned further. And at that time, when we tried to make a cost analysis, we saw that this came to about 3 lakh based on 1800 square meter of built up space. That was long ago. And of course, we were thinking about the furniture, the kitchen, the lab equipment, etc. And of course, at a cost of 9 lakhs per month as a living expense. I'm not very sure if it still applies. This was made some time back. And the real governance, actually, the real infrastructure comes from the governance. Okay, so we hope that we can divide the responsibilities between the government and this. Okay, just like the collector being in charge of the special schools, we should have such. We can have, if of course everyone collaborates and everyone wants to help, we can have such a structure wherein the government is responsible for making the regulations, as also for funding. Okay, or arranging the funds, etc., and controlling the funds. We should have the local bodies participating along with the government as in the advisory councils, as also perhaps in the steering councils, etc., to aid continuous improvement. Public institutions like KSCB, like the health departments, the transport departments, all can give their own advice in their expertise area, and also assistance, because all these help, or the help from every domain of the society is required, no doubt about it, because these are unfortunate people whom we have cast out so far. Of course, the people who are staying in, like the parents, the counselors, the staff, will be responsible for the management and upkeep of the premises according to our plans. Of course, this is the parents whom we talked about will be the cornerstones of rehabilitation. Of course, these parents are different. They have survived the streets. Okay, so perhaps they are not like us who have had the benefit of a home so far, but they have some kind of resourcefulness which is not in us. They have some kind of personal strengths to have survived the streets. Also, according to some social science research that I have gone through, I have noticed that, I have read that if the people can change, if these kinds of people whom we have confined to the gutters, they remain in the gutters if they think that they cannot control their destiny. But if they are given opportunities and personal choices to improve their lot, especially about the lot of their children, then that becomes very empowering. So this is what we hope, that the parents will bring to the e-waste management school, their own resoluteness, their own perseverance, and all the strengths that are important in the people who have lived on the streets. Of course, community living will give rise to what may be called as some kind of compensation. Wherever there is weakness, there might be some strength elsewhere, as it happens in the joint families of yesteryears, wherein some people used to make up for whatever lapses that happened in some segments of the joint family. The weak link is definitely the youth who may have been already influenced by the three obsessive components that the street people are perhaps enamored with. One, of course, is food. Second is sex. Third is drugs. So perhaps we need to have some treatment, and if they can come back and be a part of the e-waste management school, there is scope for giving them driving lessons such that they can be useful, the security training such that they can be in charge of the physical education. This is very important, because when teams are formed, okay, let's say a basketball team, a football team, a cricket team, or whatsoever, that gives rise to what is called as a pride in the institution, as also an ownership. So if such a thing can be built up based on the training that these youths can receive, since they are useless in certain other aspects, that may be good, including healthcare, training in healthcare for the people who are temperamentally inclined in this direction and have the attitude for nursing, nutrition, mentoring, counseling, etc. Of course, we need tailoring, laundering, gardening, help with cooking, cleaning, mustering. All these possibilities are there for equipping the youth also, the people who are beyond 30. The ultimate aim is, of course, to have a model test bed for recycling unit, which is exactly what Professor Damodaran was talking about. We hope that society supports that, because that's the only rehabilitation that is possible. Unless society supports, nothing will happen. No rehabilitation is possible. Society is definitely expected to provide all kinds of advices for continuous improvement in all segments that were discussed so far, including for industry interactions and requirements. A steering committee from visionaries. We have so many visionaries even here today and joining us. And of course, their help to articulate in very important segments, very important areas, the mission statements, that will be definitely useful. And then again, though we have gone for a design of an infrastructure which provides a structured a structured community living, it is essentially, we are looking for the course content and delivery pattern to open up the world to their imagination, okay? Because they need to interact with it deeply in the coming days. So this is the major objective, and this is the most important slide that I placed before you. And I think it is possible because I talked about this with the help of Gokul in one of the important area, in one of the important meetings of our local architecture and engineers forum. So immediately after my talk, I was very happy to notice that one man who had never interacted with me, whom I had a different picture completely of. He came and he came and talked to me, and he volunteered help. In fact, what I was really amazed with, and which brought tears to my eyes, was when a lady, okay, she had of course had a very privileged upbringing and a very protected life. She came to me and she told me, Sudha, if you started, okay, call me. I'll come even to wash dishes in the e-waste management school. So we have people here. We definitely have good people everywhere. And we hope that this becomes a reality. It's still a dream. So after the whole thing was structured in such a manner, Gokul conducted some survey of the people, of the homeless people here. So what he could collect was that there are around 100 children below the age of the children between the age of 1 and 5. About 80 to 90 children between the age of 5 and 15, and many more beyond. Of course, some of them may not be retrievable, so there is scope. Okay, of course, they do not want it. They have not asked for it. So this is the problem that we see right now. Of course, to penetrate into the project deeper, Gokul is still trying to work with some NGOs, etc. I can talk about it later on if you want to know about it. And he's also interacting with some of the sight children who are not getting the education, but who seem to be interested in learning some of the mechanical drawings, alignment, etc. So these are some of the things that happened later on. But if we look at the country's status right now, and of course, this is borrowed from a big from a picture of all the countries. So I have taken an extract of India, which had generated to 3,230 kilotons of e-waste in 2019. 2020, perhaps the figures are not yet out. And okay, so a per capita content is shown here. And of course, what was documented as collected in 2016 was only 30. Perhaps the documentation of the later years have not yet are not yet published. So this is a picture of all the components in the e-waste causing so many diseases like cancer, the neurological problems, lung problems, and whatnot. So what I would like to say is that, okay, still these people are happy, no doubt about it. These are street children who are showing happiness. But then what is our duty? So I have put a big machine here which can do the e-waste recycling, of which the components can definitely be set up by the different engineering colleges if they desire so. And are we ready to help? So with all of you, I catch on to the extended beautiful hand boy and conclude and say thank you for all the listening. Thank you. I hope I have not extended. I have not taken too much of my time.
No, ma'am, no.
Okay, so
thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for your nice presentation. Ma'am, we have so many questions in our chat box. Let me point out that.
Can I stop sharing? Then I can
Yes,
see.
ma'am. Yes, yes.
So thank you. Thank you for whatever you saw. Yeah. So I don't know if I'll be able to answer questions, but I'll definitely try to bring it to a discussion. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Go through.
Ma'am, our first question is that what inspired you to take up this topic?
Okay. As I said earlier, I have taught in several engineering colleges. I have seen all the e-waste dumped up there, especially in GC Thrissur. I used to see all the oscilloscopes dumped up there. I used to wonder what would happen to them. In fact, when I became the principal of the college, I tried to extract some e-waste out of them. In fact, some of the NSS children were engaged to try to extract some, at least some diodes and so some working components from them. And then again, we also had, okay, of course, let me speak chronologically. And then we had the e-waste becoming an important point of discussion at several levels, especially in our government level also. And the e-waste was supposedly to be handed over by the NSS people from all institutions to people who came to collect them. So nothing happened, of course. And then again, we saw the talent that is there in the street. Okay, and of course the talent that are there in many unfortunate circumstances, which are waiting to be spotted. And not amongst the regular going school children or regular going college children, but amongst these people who are not exposed to education. They have a fresh mind, and they have survived the streets. We don't know how to survive the streets. I'm very sure that none of us know how to be there in the street to fight and to overcome all the difficulties that are there. So putting them together was the plan that started it all. I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, our next question is that with your research, you become an environmentalist and also humanitarian. Is it correct, ma'am?
Okay. I have been reading all the social science papers. Okay, I've been reading them because, okay, once you start on a project, then it enters your heart and then it stays there. In fact, in other occasions when I spoke about this dream project of mine, I had said that if this becomes a reality, I will leave everything. I will leave everything and join them. Okay, so perhaps I don't know if it's called as a social scientist at least, but then I think all of us should care. Shouldn't we all care? Okay, we have put our e-waste out there to damage these street children, and we don't care. We don't care about them. In fact, we don't like to see those children. In fact, as I said earlier, when they are out of sight, they are out of our minds. So that's the reason why I brought all those disturbing pictures. I hope they were disturbing enough.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Next question is that it is heard that in China, many homemaker ladies are engaged in reclamation of gold and other metals from e-waste to fetch additional money. Is this possibility included in this project to make funds?
Yeah, it is. This is the problem that e-waste has. In fact, there are so many. In fact, there are more. Okay, I had a picture here somewhere, but I don't remember that. I had some figures here. I don't remember them. In fact, almost I think 85% of the e-waste recycling is happening in informal sectors because it makes money. It makes money out of these precious metals. In fact, most of the electronic gadgets even have platinum, silver oxide. It happens to be the contacts. There is gold there. There are harmful metals also, which I showed in the last slide. And these harmful metals are also there, and they burn them, they break them, and then these fumes affect these children to the cellular level. This was very surprising to me when I read that this affects them at the cellular level. This was very disturbing. We are going to have damaged people. So of course, yeah, just like in China, our people are also interested. The greedy, the selfish people are interested in extracting these precious metals out of making deceased persons of our children, of the future generation.
Okay, ma'am.
I hope I have been strong enough in this.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, we have some more questions, but due to the time limit, we want to wind up here. We will send the remaining questions through offline. Is it okay, ma'am?
Of course, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You can continue actually. For only a few more questions. You can continue.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, shall we move to the next question?
I'll try. Yeah. Go ahead.
For implementing the concept to reality, any step is initiated with agencies whom you have named. What was the response from those agencies?
Okay, that's a good question because I get a chance to speak about certain things that have happened. Okay, not much, but of course, as I said earlier, I'm continuing to teach in my college, and at the same time, I'm trying to present whatever I collect from Gokul at several stages. He has been my field person, and he has started working with Messrs. The two NGOs in Kerala itself. Okay, we have what is called as a social justice and women's welfare department setting up what is called as a kaval. Okay, an organization which is called a project which is called as kaval, which is where the children are referred from the children who have committed petty crimes. Okay, are referred by the juvenile justice board. So, and two NGOs are working with them. One is Messrs. ESAF, another is Messrs. Foundation of Social Justice, which is a subsidiary of Innovation. And he has, along with them, visited around 50 houses. He noticed that most of the cases are either POSCO related. As I said earlier, they are very sad cases, and some of them happen to be theft. And this aspect of theft is because they are so much enamored with these motorbikes, etc., such that they want to ride them. Okay, so they commit. Okay, of course, not actually criminal-minded people, but they do this because of the circumstances. And so he is collecting quite a lot of data. And he also went to Hyderabad. He went to Secunderabad, and he met with the coordinator of Sweekar Upkar School, and he heard a very important he got a very good input in the sense that perhaps behavioral genetic modification is possible if we even in 6 months, if some behavioral therapy, especially in the agricultural domain, can happen to these students, to these unfortunate people who are embroiled in crime. And then he went on to meet Prajwala. Okay, so and he's hoping that Sunita Krishnan, who is a person who is running such an institution for the abused children, who is herself an abused person, she may also be visiting us soon, wherein of course we will be listening to her also. And we are trying to keep in touch with all the childline people here, and some of them are offering help. In fact, we were also talking about some land being allocated, wherein some kind of agriculture can start off with. And now we are on to trying to see if at least where there are already shelters like remand homes, etc., whether it is possible to go for this e-waste management school. So we have started in a very small way at different sectors. And the person who is doing it all is definitely Gokul, but I'm trying to give him all supports. But of course, I am also unfortunately completely embroiled in the teaching learning aspects of our institution right now. Okay, I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, next question is that how about making every engineering college to a zero waste premises?
Yeah, that is possible if they donate their all the spoiled or damaged equipment. Okay, we have, in fact, yeah, this is something that I wanted to tell you. We had a DSO. I hope you know about the DSO. It's okay. Of course, it's a development on the on our earlier versions. Okay, so it's a very costly equipment. It was damaged, and it was, of course, it has to be scrapped. In fact, with some of the students who joined in the latter years, last year, we opened the DSO, and what we saw was that there was some healthy components inside it. There was a power supply unit which was intact, so we can remove that. So perhaps if such things can be done at the college level, perhaps some kind of zero waste is possible. Otherwise, they should collaborate with such e-waste management schools such that it becomes win-win on both sides.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, next question is that what is the focus of this subject? Is to rescue the children engaged in e-waste collection and disposal or to e-waste management?
I think I talked about rescue more because e-waste management school, I just put it in a e-waste management, I put it in only 2 slides about the curriculum, only in the curriculum. Okay, I thought that the school was important rather than the technologies or the techniques, etc. And when you're talking about a school, it essentially means rescue. So I would say that the focus of my talk was essentially the school, the rescue. I hope I have not been disappointing.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much for your nice presentation. It was really a brilliant presentation. Okay, let's move to the end of the session. Now let me welcome Ashok Kumar for the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Professor Sudha Balagopal. Good evening. I think because of this increased consumption of humankind, we land up in 3 major issues of carbon emission, then plastics, and the e-waste. The first two have to be handled more in an industry-based approach rather than, whereas the third one, e-waste, I think it is to be with the involvement of the society as a whole. So far, last 50 minutes, I was wondering whether I'm listening to an engineer or I'm listening to a social scientist. It is a really marvelous presentation about the approach to be taken of an institution building model presented here to us, and many of us, or at least some of us, will be involved in the decision making hierarchy of the government and other institutions. So I think this message has to be percolated further. That's the responsibility of all of us listeners as engineers in different organizations and government, especially people like Professor Damodar sir and all that. They have good access to the government mechanism, so the policies of governments can be influenced accordingly, so that this model can be suitably implemented. So thank you, madam. We had a nice evening and a fantastic presentation. Listen to you. Thank you very much for your nice talk. I think long way to go. You have a lot of job to do in this, a lot of things to contribute. I think it will be really potential one. We look for that. Then I thank the volunteers who have been associated with this program all along, who have been contributing their time and effort in making this series happen. Thanks to each one of you. Then finally, the participants, without whose presence this kind of series cannot go on the way it is going on. It is very, all of you are enthusiastically participating in this, and so thanks to each one of you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.